Hi, Johan.
Shannon, hi.
We're always laughing. For our episode on what Africa can learn from India's tech ecosystem, we had a chance to talk about what founders in Africa should focus on when they're building their companies. And we thought we'd share some of those insights in this mini episode. We'll also hear from Adrienne Henderson, a senior associate at Quona Capital. But first, Johan, want to kick us off?
Let's start with what we're seeing in the market right now. So it's tough out there right now. The venture ecosystem has slowed down. There isn't as much capital as there was in, let's say, 21, 22, when it's much easier to raise venture capital. And the result is that there are fewer startups, but the quality, I think, is on average better, because these are founders that, despite tough times in terms of raising money, are still wanting to launch new businesses and scale their business.
So what advice would you give to founders and entrepreneurs in Africa?
My advice would be, in terms of how they build the business, would obviously be asset light, if you can be. Don't plan for a scenario of having to raise huge amounts of capital to succeed. We've seen some businesses, there was one in South Africa that sold for over $100 million, entirely bootstrapped. They hadn't raised a single cent of external capital. So it can happen. But you do get certain business models that do require you raising money to move fast, because if you don't, someone can come in and eat your lunch, so to speak.
One of the things I've been thinking a lot about is making sure you have a partner that can be with you for the long term. I've just spent a lot of time this week at UK FinTech Week with folks saying things to me like, I raised for the seed round and my investor then only did seed. They don't do Series A, and now I have to find new investors and there's no continuity. And then on the converse, I was with one of our portfolio companies, Twinco, who met with Jonathan, one of the founders of Quona, in 2018 when they were pre-seed. Then when they were seed, they met with Monica, the other founding partner. Then when they were reaching their Series A, we invested. Now we're with them at their Series B. And it's been now a 7 years long journey that we've been able to see the evolution and become real thought partners. And that's very different from some of the experiences I was hearing with other founders who didn't know at their seed stage what it meant to pick a long-term partner, and they were just out there looking for capital. And I think sometimes in environments, as Johan mentioned, where capital can be scarce, or it's a harder fundraising environment than it has been in the past, people just take whatever capital comes their way. And I think that can be a huge mistake in terms of taking only short-term partnership on, not understanding what it means for what you've signed away for your rights and everything. And
absolutely.
For first-time founders, and this is irrelevant for multiple-time founders, but I think that's one of the things that when we speak to new founders, I warn them the most. Even say to them, think twice before us, think twice before anyone. Definitely don't just get excited from the first meeting and take what they offer you. Definitely shop around.
One is really understand what you're getting into before you raise venture money. Is your business venture backable? Is it venture scale? And do you want to go down that journey? Because again, not every business should raise VC money. It doesn't make it a bad business. And the final one being one of just understanding if you're playing in a space that is slightly better than what's already there, which is okay, or are you really trying to create a new category or be a category defining business? So there's certain themes, I think, that are overdone and hyper-fragmented, hyper-competitive. And I think the smart thing to do is look for some of the white spaces, or are you that different that you can literally replace category entirely? And that's where I'd say, would be some of my advice of where you want to spend your time thinking before you launch.
And that's all for this episode of The $1 Trillion Opportunity.
You can follow The $1 Trillion Opportunity on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
The $1 Trillion Opportunity is produced by Quona and Pod People. Our producers are Danielle Roth, Julie Bilewski, and Hannah Pedersen. Carter Wogan and David DeLuca edit the show. Special thanks to my hero, Rachel King, and Amy Machado. Listeners, you won't want to miss the next episode. It's got a special focus on things you never knew but really should care about when it comes to our global supply chain, also known as how you get your stuff. We can't wait for you to hear it. Thanks again for listening.
Thanks, Shannon. We'll be back soon for more insights from founders and investors building the future of fintech in emerging markets.
You won't want to miss it. We thought we'd share some of those episodes in this insight.
Some of those episodes in this insight.